This is Sascha Ucci, and we're starting his story at the end. An end defined by 83 days of unimaginable agony, so deep, so relentless that he begged his own doctors to let him die. But to understand the magnitude of that suffering, we need to understand the man, the system around him, and the chain of decisions that led to one of the most excruciating human tragedies ever documented. Welcome back to Norframe. Today we're returning to the Takemura nuclear accident of 1999. But we are not here to analyze machinery, protocols, or physics. We're here to talk about a person, a technician, a husband, a man whose final month turned into what many experts still call the worst radiation injury in medical history. Sascha Ucci wasn't a reckless worker or a thrill seeker. He was ordinary, gentle, hardworking, devoted to his family. He lived inside Japan's strict industrial ecosystem, where efficiency is sacred and deadlines often weigh heavier than human well being. It's a culture meant to describe with one word: karashi, death by overwork. On the morning of September 30th, 1999, that system collided with fate. Ouchi absorbed 17,000 millisieverts of radiation. To grasp that number, one chest x-ray is about zero point 0.1 millisieverts. A full body CT scan is 10 millisieverts. A lethal dose is approximately 6,000 millisieverts. So, a millisievert, or MSV, measures biological damage from radiation, and Ouchi took nearly 3 times the amount that guarantees death. He never stood a chance. Here's the part most people think they understand, but very few truly grasp. Radiation doesn't kill instantly. It dismantles a person from the inside outward, cell by cell, organ by organ, while leaving the mind painfully intact. For 83 days, Sascha Ucci lived in a place between life and death. His skin blistered and peeled away in sheets. His immune system collapsed. His gastrointestinal lining shed daily. His organs failed one after another. Doctors performed up to 10 blood transfusions a day just to keep him alive long enough for his body to fall apart again.
助かる見込みが非常に低いということが、客観的に誰の目にも明らかだ。
And here's a detail often overlooked. His sister donated her bone marrow in a desperate attempt to save him. But the radiation inside Ouchi's body was so total that the transplanted cells died immediately. His body was no longer a place where life could exist. Ouchi's mind, however, remained aware. He drifted in and out of delirium, sometimes crying, sometimes begging. Please stop. I just want to go home. These weren't dramatic movie lines. These were real words recorded by nurses in his sterile, isolated room. And the terrible weight of choosing his fate fell onto his family. They watched every resuscitation shatter him a little more until they finally signed a DNR, do not resuscitate order, a decision no family should ever confront. It was mercy, the only mercy left. But if that was the consequence, what was the cause? Here's where the story takes a colder turn. When Ouchi first arrived at the hospital, he appeared fine. He spoke clearly. He was conscious, stable, even optimistic. This baffling calm is known as the ghost face, a deceptive window after extreme radiation exposure where the body seems normal. But beneath that illusion, his chromosomes, the instruction manuals for life, were destroyed. In biological terms, he was already dead, just temporarily animated. But how did he get there? Not through a single mistake, not through carelessness. This was the result of years of corporate shortcuts. JCO, the company operating the facility, had secretly abandoned proper procedures. They replaced a specialized dissolution tower with ordinary stainless steel buckets because it was faster, cheaper, and more efficient. It was illegal, and everyone knew it. Ouchi and his co-workers didn't invent the shortcut. They inherited it. They followed the rules given to them by a system that cared more about deadlines than human beings. Now, the question becomes, why rush nuclear safety? The answer is simple and horrifying. On September 30th, the Takemura plant was 2 days behind schedule. In Japan's industrial world, missing a deadline is a catastrophic failure. One that leads to financial penalties, reputation loss, and sometimes the destruction of entire careers. Executives feared the consequences. Pressure flowed downward, and Uchi, Shinohara, and Yakukawa bore the weight. They were forced into an impossible choice: follow proper safety procedures and fall further behind, or use the illegal shortcut everyone used and hope they could finish in time. They chose speed, because in that culture, speed wasn't just encouraged, it was required. Here's the moment everything collapsed. 8 a.m., Uchi and Shinohara stood over a precipitation tank, wearing nothing but rubber gloves and aprons. The kind of gear you'd use for cleaning chemicals, not handling nuclear fuel. The tank safety limit was 2.4 kilograms. The solution they were pouring was 7 times more concentrated. When Shinohara tipped the final scoop, the mass inside the tank reached 16 kilograms and crossed the line into criticality. A nuclear chain reaction ignited instantly. A flash of cobalt blue light burst from the tank. The Cherenkov effect, a visual signature of radiation exploding into the air. Uchi, leaning directly over the vessel, was standing at ground zero. The gamma pulse slammed into his head on. Every cell in his body received a fatal, instantaneous instruction: cease all function. The reaction didn't stop. It continued for 20 hours, silently firing like an uncontrolled reactor because the tank had no geometry to prevent it. 3 men became victims of a culture that worshipped efficiency above life. JCO lied. They told authorities it was a routine leak, delaying emergency responses that could have reduced exposure to workers and residents. But truth had a way of surfacing. Investigations revealed that illegal shortcuts had been standard practice for years. This wasn't negligence, it was institutionalized misconduct. The fallout was massive. 310,000 residents were ordered to stay indoors. Local farming and fishing were banned. Executives were prosecuted for professional negligence. And when the details of Uchi's suffering became public, the nation erupted in anger. Sascha Ucci didn't die because he broke rules. He died because he followed them. The rules of a toxic workplace that had been broken long before he ever clocked in. His story is more than a tragedy. It's a warning, a reminder that the most dangerous reactors aren't always made of steel and uranium. Sometimes they're built from pressure, fear, silence, and the belief that cutting corners is harmless. Until the day it isn't. And that's it for today. Thank you for watching our frame, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel to not miss our next videos. And as always, stay sharp, stay curious, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!